This super tiny gaming PC from AliExpress has an Nvidia RTX GPU, and it can actually put down some really good performance. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's ETA Prime back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at a new mini PC that I recently picked up on AliExpress. Actually, I ordered it about 3 weeks ago. Just came in, and I'm actually really impressed by what we have here. The only other thing this came with was a 180 watt power supply, and it's definitely one of the biggest 180 watt power supplies that I've seen. It's actually almost as big as the PC itself. And like a lot of these mini PCs that you see over on AliExpress, it doesn't have a really cool name. It's just known as the Powerful Mini PC Intel i7 13620H, Thunderbolt 4, so on and so on. And to tell you the truth, given the specs that this thing has, it was actually a pretty decent deal, and I will leave links in the description. In this video, I've got a lot to go over and a lot to test, so before we get into it, I do want to mention that this video is sponsored by Vip-URCDKeys. I've been using this site for quite some time now. They offer Steam keys, Uplay, Ubisoft, but the main thing I pick up over here are Windows 11 Pro keys. And right now, if you use code ETA, you can get 25% off. So at checkout, we'll just enter the code ETA. That's going to bring the price down to $22.88. They're going to email you that key, and then you can activate Windows. Speaking of that, let's head over to a new PC that I recently built. As you can see, we're running Windows 11, and from Settings, we're going to go to Activation Settings. It's going to tell us that we're not active. We don't have a key installed, so we're just going to paste it right in here, choose Next. It's going to activate Windows for us, and we're ready to go. If you're in need of cheap Windows keys, I'll leave a link in the description, and remember, you can use code ETA for 25% off. Taking a look at the I/O here, up front we've got two full-size USB 3 ports. Moving around back, power input, 4 USB 2.0 ports, 2 full-size USB 3.2 ports, dual HDMI ports, Thunderbolt 4, and 2 3.5mm audio jacks, one for audio in, one for audio out. And in total, we can do 3 displays out of this, utilizing both of those HDMI ports and that USB 4 port. When it comes to the overall specs, this mini PC is powered by the Intel Core i7 13620H, and we've been seeing this a lot in budget laptops and budget mini PCs. We have 10 cores, 16 threads, and a clock up to 4.9 GHz. This has 16 gigabytes of SODIMM DDR5 running at 5200 MHz. It's in dual channel, and you can go up to 64 with it, but I'm going to keep it right there at 16. And like I mentioned, this has a dedicated Nvidia GPU. It's not the highest end version, but what we've got here is the Nvidia GeForce RTX 4050. So this is a laptop GPU, and that's kind of been the case with these mini PCs. 6 gigs of GDDR6 VRAM. 1 M.2 SSD can be added here, up to 2 terabytes. It's also got Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.2 right out of the box. This was a bare bones unit. I added a 1 terabyte drive. And getting in here is pretty simple. There's just 4 screws on the bottom. This way you can get in here and upgrade the RAM and storage. And I'll tell you, there's a couple different models of these over on AliExpress. You'll find them with the RTX 3050. I believe I saw one with a GTX 1060, which is one I definitely stay away from. And even a higher end CPU like the 14900H, which would put out more performance here. But I've got a 1 terabyte drive right here, heatsink on it. Dual channel SODIMM RAM. It's got a dual fan cooling system here. I mean, it's set up like a laptop. And when it comes down to it, I mean, we've got laptop parts here with this mini PC. So jumping right in here, there's a few things that I personally wanted to check out, like TDP on this CPU and TGP on the GPU. As you can see, we've got that 13th gen Intel Core i7 13620H. Seen it in a lot of newer systems hitting the market. 16 gigs of DDR5 at 5200. We've still got access to the Intel UHD graphics, but we're not going to be using that because we've got this Nvidia GeForce RTX 4050 laptop GPU. 6 gigs of VRAM. Of course, it's a lower end laptop GPU, but the performance here isn't as bad as I thought it would be. Let's check out the TDP on this CPU. I'm really interested in this because, you know, that cooler that's in this thing is going to be cooling the GPU and the CPU. I'm going to use CPU-Z to stress this out. Right down here, I've got hardware info running. Zoom in a bit. So it looks like we've got a boost up to 55, and I bet you it will come down a bit. Okay, so after a little while, it did drop on down to 45 watts. I was kind of suspecting this would happen, and I did see the CPU package power hit around 82 in just that little bit of a time period. 45 should be okay for this cooling system. We'll check out all the temps by the end of the video. Now let's go ahead and check out the TGP on this RTX 4050. We'll run Furmark. So yeah, I believe the RTX 4050 in some systems will boost up to 80 watts. Looks like we're a little under that, but we may be able to get that boost up there. I don't think it's really going to use 80 watts while we're gaming at 1080 on this thing, but it definitely looks like the system is sending enough over there. So with that out of the way, let's check out a few benchmarks that I ran, and then we're going to get right into some gaming here. Here's Geekbench 6, single core performance out of the CPU, 2500, multi 10724. And I'll tell you, I've seen the 13620H do better than this, and in other systems it can boost up a bit higher. We're kind of limited to that boost up to 55 watts here. And the last one I ran was Time Spy, just to check out this RTX 4050. We got a total score of 8,659. Graphics score, 8,300. Obviously falling behind something like an RTX 4060 because we've got a lower end unit. I mean, it's the 4050, but this is actually the first time that I've seen a 4050 powered mini PC like this. And now I want to test out some real world gaming. Starting out a bit light with Forza Horizon 5, but I found this really impressive, so I wanted to show it all. We are at 1440p. I'm not using any kind of scaling, so DLSS is off. I'm not using frame gen, and we're at the high preset. I originally tried it at Ultra, but I got a low VRAM warning because we've only got 6 gigs of VRAM, but this is pretty awesome running on a 4050 like this at 1440p high. And I know it's an easier to run game, but getting over 130 FPS is still really awesome. Checking out Cyberpunk 2077, 1080p, high preset, DLSS set to quality. So we'll go in here and I'll show you, we're at 1080. We're not going to go up to 1440 with it. It says custom now, but we'll go to high. We need to enable DLSS, take that to quality, apply those settings, and this is fully playable on this system at 1080. Of course, it would be nice to have a little PC like this do, 1440 over 100 FPS, but given the specs here with this mini PC, it's just not going to be possible at 1440. But if you want to get a bit more out of it, we've got that 4000 series RTX GPU, so we can enable DLSS frame gen. It's not multi-frame gen, so it's basically just X2, but those same settings there, we're now over 120 FPS on average with this game. And if you take a look at Afterburner up in the top left-hand corner, that GPU is pulling anywhere from 61 to 65 watts, and the CPU is only up to around 35 in some cases with frame gen enabled. With Hogwarts Legacy, I didn't want to use any frame gen, so I had to drop it down to medium settings, even though we're just at 1080p. DLSS is set to balanced, but with it set up like this, we're getting over 80 FPS on average. Not horrible, but going up to high, we get a ton of dips under 60, and I really do think it just has to do with not enough VRAM with this setup, only having 6 gigs. Here's Marvel Rivals, 1080p, high with DLSS set to quality. Would be nice to be able to lock this at 120, but unfortunately it's just not going to be possible with these settings here. Maybe taking it down to medium, because right now we're seeing an average of 108 FPS even during battle here, which isn't bad for what we've got. And the final game I tested here was God of War Ragnarok at 1080 high, DLSS set to balanced. It really does seem like trying to go to Ultra with a lot of these newer games just isn't going to work because of our VRAM amount. We're sitting at a little over 5 gigs right now being used with this at high settings. Going up to Ultra, it's going to use over 7. Last thing I wanted to talk about here were CPU and GPU temps, and with the CPU, it should be able to boost higher. In other systems that I've tested with that 13620H, I've seen it go up to around 70 watts, but we're kind of locked at a sustained 45 watts with a boost up to 55, which does keep the temps down, but it's still struggling in some cases. Average 1440p gaming, we're right there at 73 degrees Celsius on average, and the maximum recorded in the background with hardware info was 96. So at some point it did hit thermal throttle for a quick second, came back down, but yeah, I mean, it can definitely get pretty hot there. And as for the RTX 4050, we averaged 64 degrees Celsius while gaming, and the maximum recorded with hardware info was 75. So we didn't throttle that 4050 at all. I'll tell you, I do wish this had a better cooling system, and even from the BIOS, I didn't find a way to adjust the fan speed on this. It doesn't sound like a jet plane at all. It gets a little bit loud. I mean, we've got those dual tiny blower-style fans in there, but if it would spin up a bit more and keep it cooler, I'd totally be fine with that. But this is kind of what you get with the AliExpress mini PCs. This was one I was really interested in when I saw it had that RTX 4050. If you're interested in learning a little more about this, I'll leave some links in the description. And remember, there are a couple different ones floating around, so don't get the one with the GTX 1060 or even that RTX 3050. If you're trying to pick this specific unit up, the best they make is the RTX 4050. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. If you've got any questions or you want to see anything else running on this thing, just let me know in the comments below. Like always, thanks for watching.